Hello and welcome to a Star Citizen State of the Game, well, an Alpha 3.12.1 State of the PTU and Xenothreat. Really, the Xenothreat playtests have been going on for a couple of weeks now, with Alpha 3.12.1 on the PTU. So these playtests are a new large-scale event for Star Citizen that includes cargo hauling and a fleet battle, multiple fleet battles, Idris and Javelin, so these big capital ships and multiple phases, defending this Javelin and having a load of players work together at any scale. So you can have a whole org doing it, or you can have just lots of little groups of players all working together doing it, and anyone can sort of join in with that as it's happening. So the actual core of that 3.12.1 patch now is in a very good state, having made some stability and performance improvements from the earlier PTU patches that did have a load of problems, and this is significantly better state as of the K patch. They fix a load of bugs, which have been plaguing the 3.12 live build as well. There were certainly some issues with the phases of Xenothreat, though, that they wouldn't trigger the next stage of the event after you completed one phase, like got all the cargo and that sort of outloaded the Javelin, but it didn't sort of trigger to move on to the next phase. So that needs to be solved to work consistently. I think they actually have already solved that. Beyond that, there are 5 major things that really need to be addressed and solved or in a good state. That's low frame rate, desync, items being lost on character reset, or just items and being lost in general on ships, stock and trade stuff, so the shopping kiosks basically not having enough stock of an item, or more often, for me anyway, not being able to have enough room to be able to buy much of anything from you. So if I'm trying to trade a load of a commodity, I can't drop it all off. I can only drop very small amounts off, and it takes ages for that to sort of be updated. Some people did suggest that they were potentially in the PTU keeping the stocks low on purpose for testing, maybe, question mark. But to be honest, I sort of want them to have the ability to take a huge amount more stock in those shops. If I want to sell billions of units of something, let me, but maybe don't pay as much. But that could be a rant for another time, and we do know that they're working on the dynamic economy and stuff. Not everything can be dropped into this 3.12.1 patch for sure. Also, ships getting into a state where they can't be retrieved is obviously a major issue. And there are various other bits and pieces, especially lots and lots and lots and lots of edge cases, which aren't mentioned here. It is an alpha, very much still. Comically at the moment, ships like the Javelin, they're supposed to go into quantum travel when they finish like tasks or finished a fleet battle. They just vanish. Boop, they just sort of disappear. Though I don't think that sort of is a blocker to the live build of the game, but it's something that Cloud Imperium are going to want to try and fix. It is about immersion, their game after all. That all needs to be in a good state, basically. Those major things need to be in a good state for a live build, or at least not in a bad state. You don't want these issues preventing you from playing the game, and some of them will. I'm thinking that Cloud Imperium are pushing for a 3.12.1 live patch for this weekend, though, if possible, and that sort of makes sense. I do think that all of those problems are solvable pretty quickly now that they're just focused on them. The Star Map app as well, actually, this is a fiddly thing which I hope gets fixed ASAP, but it might not until they update the Star Map app with the new version that they've got planned. But whatever, hopefully we won't be waiting too long. It is something that is so fiddly to have to, I can't set my quantum travel point. I have to go into another app and then come back to this one. It's just annoying. Cloud Imperium have updated and made some improvements to their databases and backend services recently as well, which should pay some dividends in 3.12.1 live as well. They are expecting a lot of players to jump into that live build once it's released. A huge chunk of the game is now accessible with 3.12.1 as well, so most of the missions and gameplay loops that are in-game work pretty well now. Now, I say that with some conditions. I am a tried and tested sort of Evocati and alpha tester for Star Citizen, so there's a lot of little bugs I probably just avoid or don't have because I've set up my computer and everything to play Star Citizen and record Star Citizen and get Star Citizen footage and stuff like that. So Star Citizen is an alpha still for a reason. Some things are still very buggy, some edge cases, lots and lots of edge cases still exist. So there are lots of like bugs that they can't reproduce very quickly and well, so they don't really get fixed because they only happen to a few people. But when it's a ton of bugs, lots and lots and lots of different edge cases, that can mean that you will encounter bugs still pretty regularly. Although What I would say is that this is happening less and less and less in the game. Even when they're adding more content, we're still seeing them deal with those bugs pretty well. I mean, that sometimes it's terrible, and we'll have to wait until 3.12.1 live, because there might have been like this new bug which is causing loads of problems, but hopefully it looks like it's in a pretty good place. What I'm trying to say is there are less game-breaking bugs than there were before. So there is certainly a good amount of polish that Cloud Imperium could do to get these issues sorted, and I suspect they kind of are trying. They will try and get as many bug fixes and little tweaks and updates and improvements as they can before 3.12.1 goes live. Stability in the game is, for me, great currently. I haven't had a 30k in quite some time. That could be because of the times I play. It could be because I'm lucky. But when I've played with organizations as well, they were having a pretty good time as well. Only a couple of them were got disconnected. Our servers didn't sort of crash or break or anything. I've had 4+ hours of uninterrupted gameplay in sessions, which is absolutely fantastic. That's exactly the sort of period I want. If I can get 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted gameplay, I think Star Citizen's in a relatively good place. And I say relatively because there's going to be some people that have very specific issues, or like, you are mad, this game broken. But I genuinely disagree. I am able to play it with orgs and do a load of the missions and do a load of the gameplay and go around the verse and have a look at pretty things. I'm not expecting a fully fleshed out game yet, or something that is sit down and play for thousands of hours, for sure. If you want something like that, Elite Dangerous or No Man's Sky, they are finished games that they are still adding to, and they are have refined, polished gameplay loops. Star Citizen is very unrefined. It is a diamond that has just been pulled out of the ground. You know, like, is this diamond or is this quartz? It's diamond. It's diamond. We need to polish it. I do want to talk a little bit about PvP, griefing, and issues with the Xenothreat event, and probably the hot topics of this 3.12.1 sort of branch. So they updated some of the Xenothreat stuff, so they have monitored space around the wreck sites now. So this helps with dealing with unwanted PvP, and or at least makes it more difficult, along with criminal players don't get the Xenothreat set of missions anymore, so you can't just easily get there. But you can still have players that are friendly or are lawful to start with, jumping in and then go, ha, I'm actually a PvPer, and then getting a criminal rating when they're there. However, this is all left an unwanted side effect of giving players who legitimately accidentally friendly fire or bump a friend, and they get a crime stat, they're red, and then everyone will dogpile on them. It can feel extremely unfair, especially if you miss the rest of the event that you were just about to complete because you're now in prison and you have to deal with that. So there are certainly issues there, and there's certainly a lot of tension around these events now. For some people have been sort of like really, really hounded by PvPers or griefers in some cases, but everything that's red in that area will be assumed to be an enemy. Now, Cloud Imperium have said that Xenothreat is mostly a PvE event, basically. At least that's the way I understood what they said, but the game systems have not explicitly prevented PvP from taking place there. And that's because they do want Star Citizen to be a PvP game, as well as PvE, and everyone to be in the same servers eventually. Now, this is currently a point of contention for some in the community, with some wanting a fully open PvP game where you are never truly safe, and others wanting Xenothreat and some areas of the game to be PvE only, and then you've got a load of other people that fall in between that. And that's where I find myself, somewhere in between, and I think a lot of people will find themselves between on the spectrum there. I want reasons for PvP to occur, and for some areas for PvP to be nearly impossible. But what I do want is for everyone to be on the same server. That's the most important thing for me. I just want some areas for PvP, some for mostly PvE, some for mostly PvP, some for in between, and I want players to be able to go to the areas that they want more. And those PvE areas, they should be typically, but not always, lower risk, lower reward. Yeah, but there's going to be some areas that are sort of super dangerous, that are high risk, high reward, but mostly PvE and things like that. At some point in the future, we'll talk about PvE versus PvP versus risk versus reward and all that sort of jazz in a lot of detail. In the future, I very much suspect that Cloud Imperium will be putting a lot of game systems in place to deal with pirates and PvPers and, I suppose, griefers as well, and to support and, more importantly, shape that PvP-based gameplay. But that won't be in 3.12.1, at least not as far as I'm aware. Maybe they do a few little other tweakages. it is probably going to be a little while in the future before we have legitimate, well-rounded, well-fleshed-out PvP gameplay and reasons to do it, and the sort of system balanced so that there's a nice counter to PvP gameplay, or at least the chaotic, evil side of it that I see with pirates and being able to go, ha 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 ha, I'm just mad, boom, 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 which some people would see as griefing as well, but there are certainly legitimate PvP players and legitimate griefers. In the short term, unfortunately, I suspect that Xenothreat, that event, that area, the wreck site, will be a proving ground for PvP players. Now, maybe you'll be able to get some good gameplay out of people escorting and defending and bounty hunting in that area, but it could cause issues in the short term. And this is going to be much more of an issue if you're playing with a small group or doing Xenothreat with just a few people. So someone can turn up and just ruin that. They can just go, lol, I'm going to blow up the cargo ships, or I'm just going to do stuff to prevent you from finishing your task rather than any other reason. And they don't really get anything for that other than stopping you from doing what you want to do. Which I think is relatively frustrating, and you can't jump server so easily either. So if you are trying to do Xenothreat, you'd lose your progress by jumping server, but if it's a griefer, they can freely jump server and just attack someone else on another server. So do you see what I mean? There's very little risk for griefers and for PvPers, and I'm not tarnishing them with the same brush. However, they will do very similar things is the problem. I do genuinely think that PvP does add more to the game, and when we have got a game where it doesn't have a huge amount of content, PvPing is going to be something that adds a bit of interest, but there is a right place and a right time for it for the most part. But I could debate that for hours and keep on flip-flopping and changing my mind, even just debating it with myself. So you can totally disagree with me or have another option or opinion or solution for that as well, which I'm totally willing to hear. Just be civil in the comments below. I suspect there are lots of people that are super pro PvP, super anti PvP, and people in the middle. So to me, 3.12.1 is actually looking pretty good on paper, but it's about them getting it in a good state for live and getting those fixes and improvements and new features all holding up in that live environment. If that all works, the patch will be a great success. If it doesn't, then it will be a disappointment. Is Xenothreat going to be plagued by griefing and PvPers? Maybe. We will literally have to wait and see. I suspect the first couple of days it will be there'll be issues, but then as this sort of stuff calms down, maybe there won't. Mining, refining, bounty hunting, the Xenothreat event, cargo hauling, combat missions, and some deeper exploration and FPS gameplay, sort of looting little items that you find around, prisons, and some gameplay systems all sort of come together pretty well now. Still not much of a reason to use ground vehicles beyond the rock yet, though. I'm very much enjoying some of the sort of like more tailored missions, the rescue the crew / the 890 jump mission, the price of freedom mission, bounty hunting, and the reputation system working well is pretty great as well. Mining and hauling and cargo stuff, assuming they get the shopping kiosks all fixed and the ability to sell cargo and do refining properly and sell all this stuff properly, I'll be pretty happy with that. Cloud Imperium have suggested that you should also now get your ships ready for Xenothreat in the current 3.12 live branch. So I've been getting loadouts planned. I've started operating out of Microtech and Port Tressler, which is pretty close to the UE Jericho station, which is where that Xenothreat mission is set. Just as a note, I try not to run ballistics while doing Xenothreat if I'm doing any form of combat there for long periods of time, just because it can be quite a lot of shooting and you might run out of ballistics pretty quick. Or at least I do, because I'm bad shot, probably, because I do not shoot good. I wonder if Xin can somehow represent with an animation how bad a shot I am, or somehow. But you can get involved with that Xenothreat event as a combat pilot, an FPS boy, cargo runner, cargo loader, an escort or an interceptor. If you're going to be moving cargo around, try to bring a multi-tool with tractor beam attachment. That's going to save you a lot of time, literally stacking up all the boxes and then chucking them into the back of a ship. Chuck them into other people's ships. It's all good. There's a lot of shared rewards for that mission, as well as if you are the one that sells the boxes, you also get a little bit of extra and stuff like that, but a lot of it goes into a shared kitty for everyone. I'm not sure of the replayability of the mission yet. I've played it for a few dozen times through. I think it's great. It's pretty good fun. However, come back when I've played 50 plus hours and I'll tell you more. Is it super replayable? Is it really, really frustrating? Is it sometimes go really quick, sometimes really slow? Whatever. I don't know yet if I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm sick of it after 50 plus hours or something. If all goes well though, and the servers don't implode when the live build comes online, and there are no new bugs that turn up, and they fix those remaining known listed issues, and performance and stability stay in a good place, then I think we're going to have a pretty solid, in fact, I'd go as far to say, most playable version of Star Citizen that we've ever had. But I suppose that is kind of what you would hope every evolution of a patch, that they'd go, you know what, this is better than the last one. There will be players that have a tough time for sure, but there should be a lot more people having a lot better experience with Star Citizen, and that's what they should be aiming for with this alpha. This is a massive learning experience for Cloud Imperium, the sort of implementation of Xenothreat, implementation of this new large-scale event, and you can expect Alpha 3.13, the next major patch at the end of March, and the rest of the patches in 2021, and the 8+ other events they've got planned for this year, all to learn from this. But what do you think? Have you been playing in 3.12.1 Open PTU? Do you think we'll be getting a live build for this weekend, or will Cloud Imperium keep trying to fix it and refine it more and maybe release next week? Have you encountered other issues in the latest PTU build, or ones that I haven't mentioned? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and February is no different. This month is for a Mercury Star Runner. It's a multi-role ship, but also a solid data and cargo runner, and flyable now in game. All you need to do to be in for a chance of winning that is comment on any of my videos made during a month. Details below. I'm also a massive shill for NordVPN. If you are looking for a VPN service, and you should, then NordVPN acts as a fleet of ships protecting your data from prying eyes while also providing privacy like a ship would. Enjoy the interwebs without borders, securely and safely. Use the links below for discount. I can't promise it will make your life better, but I can imply that. Also, there is Game Glass. Do you have a touchscreen device that you want to use as a diegetic controller or interactive panel for Star Citizen and other games? Check out Game Glass. It's free for life for the basic version, and you can buy additional shards or functionality or subscribe for more as well. A special thank you for everyone that goes the extra mile to become a channel member or Patreon, as well as just liking, subscribing, or sharing these videos. If you would like to further support the channel, then please consider using the YouTube join button below my videos and becoming a BoredGamer channel member. You'll get some exclusive content each month, as well as badges that appear in the comments section of videos and emotes that you can use and all that sort of jazz. Thank you so much for checking out my content. You take care, and I hope to see you in the verse.